evening and welcome to episode 3 of the Away Detours podcast.
This evening we're going to start with the current plight at Manchester United. Not a great start to the season for them by any stretch of imagination. Dan, what's your thoughts after today's 2-1 defeat at West Ham?
Well, after one win in 8 games in all competitions, you've got to look at Ten Hag's position. He could have a phone call tomorrow of being sacked.
Yeah, to be fair, Dan, you mentioned that I think it's 1 win in the last 8 games. I wouldn't say they've played some of the strongest teams in the last 8 either. Obviously, they got a draw away at Fenerbahce. The only win in recent weeks has been the 2-1 win over Brentford, a 0-0 draw with Villa, 3-3 draw out in the Europa League against Porto, hammered at home against Spurs 3-0, a 1-1 draw with Twente, a 0-0 draw with Palace.
And for me, them teams 10 years ago, they should be beaten.
Yeah, a club of Manchester United stature never expected to
No.
pick up less than maximum points against a lot of those teams. The last win prior to the Brentford one was obviously the 7-0 demolition of Barnsley in the EFL Cup, which, again, a club of Manchester United stature is probably something that most people would expect, especially their fan base. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and their fans, they say that they're in a transition, but how many more managers?
Yeah, exactly. I know it was always going to be hard to replace Sir Alex. Do you know what I mean? It's not an easy decision. Arsenal have had the same. Looks like they've now finally settled with Arteta. I do think he will eventually bring home the big silverware. I know they've got a 2-2 draw this afternoon
Liverpool.
at home to Liverpool. It could have been 3, but conceded, I think, with about 8 minutes to go. They are currently missing a lot of players, the likes of Odegaard, Saliba. I'm sure I saw earlier they lost another 2 or 3 during today's game. I know Timber went off, Gabriel had gone off. But yeah, I don't really know how long Ten Hag's tenure is going to continue, Dan.
No, as I said previous, I think for me, he has to get sacked.
Yeah, I think the writing's on the wall, but as much as you see in social media, the United fan base, a lot of them want him out. Who do you replace him with? We could probably sit here for half hour, Dan, shaking our heads, you know.
Sam Allardyce, I'd give a go.
Yeah, big Sam.
But he's always there.
Well, like you said, we mentioned obviously the plight of Man United. The question is who to replace Eric. I'm sure United fans will have a lot of names in their head who they would like to see take the Old Trafford hot seat. Obviously, it's been a big summer there with new owners, little bits of renovation to the current stadium they're at. I know there's talks of a 100,000 seater stadium in the near future. But while we're on the context of football managers, another one which was under pressure, obviously Lopetegui at West Ham, possibly bought himself a few more weeks with today's big win against United. I know it came late on. I think it was the 92nd minute.
Penalty from
Jared Bowen.
Yep.
But yeah, again, managers of football, the return of the great Ian Holloway, back in hot seat this week, Dan.
Yes, love him or hate him. He's like Marmite, but
Yeah,
absolutely love Holloway.
characters of Holloway, Warnock, Allardyce, these sort of people, we're going to miss once their days in football are done.
He, on his interviews, he says how it is, and he's a proper manager.
I remember when he was at Blackpool in the Premier League and he rested, I think, everybody against, was it United? I think he rested them all against.
Last game of the season, possibly?
No, I think it was early on because he wanted to play his stronger teams against the teams he believed he could beat
Right.
to try and keep them in the league. But yeah, Ian Holloway back in hot seat. Dan, where's he gone?
He's gone to Swindon Town.
Yeah, I know the Swindon have been struggling. Obviously, they relieved previous manager Mark Kennedy of his duties at the back end of the week just gone. I think they were currently only 3 points above, I want to say, Carlisle in League 2. I've got a close friend of mine, Mark, massive Swindon fan, and they've been calling for Kennedy to go for a number of weeks, so it looks like obviously they've got their wishes in the end. They have got a very good owner at Swindon. I believe he's an Australian-based businessman. But yeah.
with Holloway, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Experience in the game.
It might not be the most prettiest football, I'd imagine.
No.
He's been out there for a long time. It's probably the lowest he's managed for many years.
What was his last job? Was it Blackpool? Oh no.
No, maybe QPR, something like that. I'm not quite sure where Holloway was most recently. I know he's been out of the game for a while. I think he was at, I want to say Bristol Rovers at some point as well. Seem to remember him there with his flat cap back over the years. But then again, it might have been Tisdale because I know he was another one for the flat cap. But yeah, a few swaps and changes. I don't think it'll be the last we see of managerial changes this year, Dan.
No, especially with Cardiff.
Yeah, on a massive rise recently under interim manager Omar Reza, following the departure of Errol Bullitt. I know a lot of the clubs were big supporters of Errol previously last year, and they wanted him to get the new deal, which he was given. I think it was a 2-year deal, Dan.
Yeah, sorry.
That's right, no worries. But unfortunately, that 2-year deal didn't go as planned for Errol Bullitt, which seen him lose his job at the Cardiff City Stadium. In regards to Reza, Dan, I think he's had a quite an impressive start in his tenure.
4 wins, or 4 wins and a draw, or 3 wins and a draw.
3 wins, 2 draws now, I believe. Draw away at Bristol City,
Oh yeah, and a draw.
and then yesterday with West
West
Brom
Brom,
0-0
yeah,
at the
yeah.
Hawthorns.
5 games, but I don't think I want him as the manager full time.
Yeah.
For me, he's
Done a great job so far, is what I would say. However, I think, although I've heard, obviously with us being Cardiff based, a lot of fans wanted him to get the job, but I've seen it many times before. If he gets given the job and results turn the other way, it'll be Cardiff fans then stating, "Oh, the City have gone for the cheaper appointment again and got it wrong."
I think it just needs time to look for the right man.
Yeah, exactly. Like the job he's doing currently as interim, he's
fantastic,
he's
yeah,
not
at the
doing a
moment.
bad job. So
No.
it's not like they sack Bullitt, the interims come in and they've continued to lose and lose, but they've got some good wins. Picked up a valuable point away at West Brom on the weekend.
Yeah, and the goals are flying in.
Yeah,
I know it was a draw on the weekend, but
you take a point away at West Brom.
hard place to go.
You go 4 weeks ago, Cardiff were rock bottom.
Yeah.
And no wins in 6 or 7, was it something like that? I want to say, might be wrong there, but yeah. So it's a hard one. Again, though, Dan, if it's not Reza, who is it? Who'd you go for? I know a lot of fans over the years have mentioned the likes of Nathan Jones, obviously with him being Welsh.
Tony Pulis was mentioned like a couple of years
Many
back.
years ago,
Yeah,
but
Sam
yeah.
Allardyce.
But if you do look at the likes of Nathan Jones, Dan, he's struggling at the moment at Charlton. I know a lot of fans down at the Valley are calling for his head. So it's a difficult one. Where'd you
Yeah.
go with it? Do you know what I mean? You'll please, I want to say, certain sectors of the fans with an appointment, and then others will be kind of, I don't know, unsure.
Yeah, because it'll go right in the first couple of weeks, and then as soon as they have a bad patch,
Yeah.
fans call for managers' heads, and unfortunately these days that's what a football is, a results game.
Yeah, it's a results-driven business, mate, but it's got harder over the years with the money that's now in football, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you look at the Premier League, everybody goes on about the Man City. If Arsenal were top with coming into January, they'd go out and spend another 100 million or X, Y, and Z, do you know what I mean? But it's a business now. It's not
course it is.
it's not
Yeah.
purely sport like it used to be years ago. I know people say United won it, but when you look back at some of the players they brought through over the years, like the class of '92, all right, don't get me wrong, there's money spent on their development, I know that, but it's not like going out these days and having teams paying 100 million for a player. When you go look at Arsenal last summer, nearly 105 million, I think it was, for Declan Rice. But yeah, it's a business now, so whoever you go with managers, unless they've got some sort of budget, majority of them are going to struggle.
Yeah.
I've always said to you, Dan, as good as job Pep's done at Man City, he's had 3 managerial jobs, I want to say.
With
Bayern,
money.
Barca, Man City.
With a lot of money.
Yeah, could he do the same at an Everton without such a budget, do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but that's unfair to judge him on that
yeah, of course it is.
because he's won things everywhere he's gone, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's one of those things, but the managerial merry-go-round will continue every year like it does every season. But yeah, we'll see. It's still very early on in the season, so lots of changes, I would imagine, Dan, between now and late July. But
Yeah.
other than that, like you say, it's football resumes, we're going back
Yeah,
into
it's-
November shortly. We'll have the international games returning, so there'll be another break there as well.
But as you said, it's a results game, and at the moment, Swansea
Yeah,
without a goal in 525 minutes. So that's
Yeah.
5 games.
it's a
But-
it's a strange one for me with the Jacks, because obviously you've got the rivalry down Cardiff, Swansea, but Swansea over the years have always been known for having a formidable striker. You go back to the days of Trundle, then after that Michu, as
Michu.
you said, yeah.
Well, I remember back in the day as well, where they had, I think it was League One, where they had 4 strikers: Rory Fallon, Akinfenwa, Trundle, and Leon Knight.
Yeah, and then if you go back into more recent times, you've got the lad that had the move to Man City.
Oh, Wilfred Bodie.
Yeah, there's another one. So you look at the Jacks over the years; they've always had goal scorers, and not just from strikers, wingers. They were always a danger, as you know from Cardiff. Cardiff suffered for many years under the hands of the Jacks, but they're most certainly on a slippery slope.
They brought in 2 strikers. It's the first season, so
You've got to give time.
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
players have got to have time at all levels. It doesn't matter what the level is, but yeah, they are struggling. And if you look back, say the Cardiff Swansea sort of thing, the gap was huge the other week. I think it's possibly down to a point, maybe 3 at the most. But considering Cardiff hadn't won anything in 6 or 7 at the start, it's a long all season, Dan.
Yes.
Obviously the Jacks
46 games.
they've got to find some sort of goals from somewhere.
Yeah.
Could just be that slight tweak in formation. There's a lot of things that change the outcomes of games, and it's not necessarily just having one player scoring goals. It's a team, innit? You get certain teams, Dan, don't get me wrong, they've got an out-and-out goal scorer that will get you 25, 30 goals a year, the likes of Haaland, Man City, but in the lower leagues, I think you've got to have a squad that's chipping away with goals, especially in a league like the Championship. 46 games is no mean feat, is it? It's a lot of games to play.
But this might be their bad patch, and then, as you said, it's a results game.
Give it 3 or 4 weeks, they bag 3 or 4 wins together. Next thing, they're just outside the playoffs.
Yeah. The Championship is such a hard league.
It's the best league in the world, mate, for me, personally. It's not... Don't get me wrong, you do get the odd season where you get a runner that'll run away with it, but it's not so much like the Premier League. Like, if you look now at the bottom of the Premier League, obviously you've got Palace. They've picked up their first win of the season today. I think they beat Spurs 1-0, I think it was, Dan.
Yeah, Mateta.
Yeah, but whereas if Palace were to play Man City over 20 games, I think they'd be lucky to get the better of them once or twice, if lucky. But
Lucky one.
you could have somebody that's bottom of the Championship, 30 points adrift of, say, Sunderland at the moment, with the pace setters, I think, in the Championship.
Yeah, they're having a good season.
They could beat each other week in, week out,
Yeah.
and there's not so much the golf that you see in the bigger leagues.
Off the top of my head, I remember a season where Reading, when they had that season, 2005, I want to say.
The days of Long and all of them, was it?
Kitson, Doyle.
Long, Doyle, yeah.
Hunt
brothers,
Yeah.
the 2 on it. But yeah, like you say, you go on about football and results. Possibly to me a big shock last night in the El Clasico, Barca thumping Real 4-0.
4-0.
I can't say I expected that. But
No, I was in work and
every time I looked at my phone last night, there was a ping from the El Clasico.
a new message read.
And a couple of the Barca players giving it to Vinny last night. I seen him celebrating, and they give him the old 4 fingers, like. But yeah, football shocks come and go, don't they? Certain leagues you get your whitewashes. I see Bayern have won this afternoon 5-0.
5-0.
Harry Kane bagging another 1 or 2. 15th
of the season.
Yeah, already.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a long old season, mate, and things
Of course it is.
don't, or the titles rather, should I say, are not won by October, November. Most certainly not. Like you say, teams go up, teams go down. They have good patches, bad patches. As you're all aware, we both at Taftswell a lot. Currently going through a very difficult time on the pitch. Changes off the pitch. Hopefully within the next couple of days there'll be a new managerial appointment there. So sit tight and wait on that one. But yeah, football's difficult. It's one of the reasons we love it, and then also one of the reasons that leaves you depressed until your team plays the week after, hoping to better the misfortunes of the week before. But we will see. If I was to say who's going to win the Premier League, I think after Arsenal, Liverpool is a draw today. I think if the Titans, Man City's grip towards the top. I know obviously Liverpool were top, but City winning yesterday, I think it probably swapped around. But
Liverpool look decent this season.
yeah, they've looked good. I think they've adjusted well from losing obviously Klopp
Yeah.
and Slot coming in. I spoke to a few Liverpool friends or fans who are Liverpool fans. They've said the only thing they don't like under Slot is the build-up plays a lot slower than it was under Klopp. I've only seen the odd highlights on Match of the Day,
Yeah.
so I'm not one that's going to come out and say that yes, the football's a lot slower, it's not as good. But they're in the top 2, top 3, whatever it is currently. So he's doing a good job as far as I'm
They
concerned.
didn't make no signings.
No, I don't think he has.
They kept the same squad as Klopp.
Klopp. And obviously he lost Alisson. I think he's out till
He's out
mid to late
for-
November. I think they said he'd be back after the international break.
Yeah, something like that.
Talking of international break, obviously that'll be back, or international football rather, will be back November. 2 games for us, Dan.
Turkey away and Iceland home.
Yeah.
So Turkey's on the Saturday 16th
Iceland Monday or Tuesday?
and the Iceland game on the Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
As we mentioned before with Wales, we'll both definitely be at the Iceland game. Hoping to make the trip to Turkey, as you said the other week. We have got the time off. It's just waiting on confirmation of if we manage to get tickets. If not, it's most certainly getting harder, Dan, as you know, for Welsh away games.
Yeah.
Because how popular they've been in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Talking of Welsh away games and Wales, we got a few questions sent into the page today, which we said we'll mention on the podcast. So one was sent in by Darren, and he mentioned, what's our opinion, Dan, of Bellamy's start, and where do we believe Bellamy can take us?
Yeah, so we've had 2 wins and 2 draws under Bellamy.
Yeah, for me, Dan, it's been a great start, but I'm not too sure how we're going to fare against the better sides, because watching the 4 games, we've looked fantastic in the first 40-45 minutes, but we just seem to, I don't know, run out of
Run out of
steam.
steam definitely the second half.
But yeah,
And that's
it's-
not just one game, it's the 4 games which I witnessed.
yeah, don't get me wrong, you could say about the Montenegro game away, that pitch was,
Dreadful.
yeah, it's no better than a Parks pitch, to be honest with you, Dan. But
Yeah.
yeah, in regards to Bellamy rather, not Bale. Obviously, we're missing Bale. But do you think you'll see us qualify for another major tournament under Bellamy?
For 2026 World Cup, there's always a possibility with, as I mentioned, the start which we've had.
Yeah, and obviously now a lot of these tournaments now there's more teams in them, so the route's slightly easier to get to major competitions than it was years ago. Obviously, we missed out when we lost a number of teams over the years. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, Welsh squad's improved. Other than that, Dan, we have had a few more questions come in. So obviously today, Arsenal's Bukayo Saka became the youngest ever player to score 50 Premier League goals for Arsenal. And a question was sent in is, how good do we think Bukayo Saka is?
He's quality for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, on the wing. If you watch the Liverpool game today, he's just
He left Andy Robertson
Andy
for pieces,
Robertson,
didn't he?
yeah.
He's still, I think he still might be in that patch at the moment. But yeah,
from within 2 passes,
yeah.
2-3 passes, goal.
Yeah, I think he's very much crucial to what Arsenal do.
Yeah,
But,
I've always rated Saka.
yeah, it's funny because we had conversations with a friend of ours previously, didn't we, when he tried to tell us that the likes of Mason Mount was better than him back in the day. So I'm not quite sure where that one's gone. I don't know where Mason Mount is now.
Man United.
Yeah, he is at Man United, but I don't know
But
what
where
he's
he
doing
is.
there. I'm not sure if he's a ball boy anymore. Kit man, I don't really know what Mason's doing these days. So if anyone sees Mason, just remind him that he's not in Saka's league. Another question, one we get asked every year: who's going to win the Premier League?
It's got to be Man City, isn't it?
Unfortunately for me, yeah, as an Arsenal fan, Dan, it's that financial power, mate. If they get to January in touching distance and Pep's not quite happy, I think that the checkbook's always going to open up for him.
I just think with Arsenal, they need a striker.
Yeah,
I think you've been saying that
for a long time. Yeah, we've not really got the best out of Jesus. Struggled to keep him fit week in, week out. His goals have severely dried up. I think last year he finished on like 5 Premier League goals, but you're never going to win the league with a a striker of 5 goals.
No.
Havertz, fantastic all-round build-up play, but again, I don't see he's going to get us 25, 30 goals to challenge the likes of Haaland, Salah, Cole Palmer. I'm not saying Chelsea are going to win it, but they've got proven goal scorers there, do you know what I mean? But
Chelsea have 17 points out of 9 games.
yeah, flying under Maresca.
Yeah.
I think he was the assistant, was he at Leicester or something like that, or Leicester manager, previous assistant somewhere along the lines.
Cole Palmer grabbing a goal.
Yeah, he's an absolute machine, Palmer. He's for me, Dan, I don't understand how he didn't play the last major tournament hardly for England at all. Went there as their top goal scorer. Even in their recent games, you know, when they had no Harry Kane, very strange choice of centre forwards for them. They was exceptionally deep lying, but yeah, who knows? But yeah, I'm in total agreement with you, Dan. It's going to be a Man City.
Yeah.
Again, I think that'll take it to like record breaking. Will that be 4 or 5 on a bounce? I think.
But I like to
that.
see Arsenal.
We could all
challenge,
hope and
yeah.
pray, Dan. Hope and pray.
Yeah.
So again, another question's come in. Falls in line with Man City for me. Who's going to finish as the Premier League's top goal scorer?
John Stones.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If he keeps pinching 96-minute winners, yeah, he's going to be. But I think it's going to be obviously between Haaland, Salah, Palmer. I think again those 3 players are a strong possibility, aren't they?
Yeah.
But
Haaland
again,
for me, yeah.
he comes into everything. And the funny thing is for Haaland, like I know he gets a lot of stick. People say he doesn't do a lot X, Y, and Z, but as Pep always says in his defence, I didn't bring him in to run with 30 yards with the ball and do this and do that. He said all I brought him in to score was goals. And
Yeah. Did you see his goal?
with that funny sort of flick. Some sort of scorpion, I don't know what he...
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't know what he's named it as, but yeah, it is... whatever he's attempted, he's succeeded in, so you have to give the guy credit. He's an absolute machine, whether it's a goal from 3 yards, 4 yards, 6 yards. He's just physically strong. He bullies defenders, and like you said, he might not do anything down for 89 minutes.
No.
And then bang.
Just need one chance.
I think yesterday they win 1-0. I think he scored after 4 minutes, and that was about it for the rest of the afternoon. For him, it's
Something, wasn't it?
yeah, job done, innit?
Yeah.
Kick off,
Just
goal,
need one chance,
game
one
over.
goal.
Yeah, exactly. But another one that has come in this evening, Dan, who's likely to go down in the Premier League, bottom 3. I think you've got to say Palace at the moment, struggling. I know they picked up their first win.
Yeah, Palace are out of the relegation, but they win. But it's how they build onto the next game.
Yeah, like I said, it hasn't been a great opening start, and only to get your first win after, I don't know, how many games are we in? I'll just have a quick look now to make sure I get my facts right before
9-10.
waffling away. Yeah, so we're 9 games in. You've got Southampton rooted to the bottom currently on a point. Wolves got a point. I think yesterday 2-0 down against Brighton. I think they recovered to a 2-2 draw. Ipswich, I believe, were thumped yesterday. 4-0, 4-1, something like that. No, it wasn't. 4-3.
Brentford, wasn't it?
4-3 away at
4-3,
Brentford,
sorry.
but Ipswich ended up with 10 men. And then you've got Palace 2 points clear of the drop. But looking at that, I think, as you can see there, Dan, that bottom 4 or 5 is not going to change much throughout the year.
No, like United are 14th. They won't be.
No, they obviously they're not going to challenge for anything. They might end up winning FA Cup, League Cup, something like that.
Yeah.
Probably even end up winning the UEFA League or the Conference League, whatever one they're in this year. But yeah, I can't see that bottom 4 changing too much, to be fair, Dan.
So I'm going to call it Southampton, Ipswich, and Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
So if any of our followers are
Palace
Palace
fans, we do apologise.
Wolves,
And Southampton.
Ipswich and Southampton.
Maybe not Southampton so much for Dan, being a Cardiff fan, and obviously the Saints currently managed by ex-Jack Russell Martin. So I think Dan might have a cheeky smile on his face come end of the season if they go down. But yeah, like I say, give or take there or thereabouts. Another one goes on from that question actually, Dan, asking about relegation in the Championship. I think it's Steve this one's coming from. Yeah, Steve is asking who do we think will get promoted from the Championship back to the Premier League.
Well, Sunderland at the moment, they're topping it. Let's have a look.
Yeah, Sunderland currently top.
Burnley.
I think the top 4, as you see at the moment, of Sunderland, Burnley, Leeds, Sheffield United, probably going to be the 4 that's going to battle a long way.
Yeah. But there's a good thing with the Championship, there's always one team
A surprise package.
just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. Like currently, you've got somebody random pick Sheffield Wednesday, down in 13th, but only 4 points outside the playoff zone. I know
Yeah.
we're only 12 games in that league, so still 30 plus to go. But
Yeah, like 3 wins, 4 wins, and you're in the playoffs.
yeah, exactly.
Strange
Um,
league, but brilliant league.
If you look at the bottom of the league, a couple of big teams down there. Obviously, Cardiff have now pulled out of the relegation zone, as we mentioned. You've got last year's Premier League, Luton Town,
They're struggling.
11 points
Yeah.
from 12 games. So, could be another manager's head on the block there, Dan. But yeah, for me, I can see the top 4 being a constant battle all season with 6 points separating them at the moment.
Yeah.
But West Brom are always going to be dangerous. I know it's not the West Brom of old. They were, as Ed used to say, like a yo-yo club. Do you know what I mean? They go up for a season, come down, up, go down.
I'd say Blackburn are a surprise.
Yeah, very much so
Yeah.
for me, especially after losing the goals of Sammy Smolocks in the summer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, the Championship's going to be exciting as always. Never write off Middlesbrough. They flirted with promotion over the last couple of years, haven't they? But Norwich slowly starting to pick up some points. But yeah, there's a long way to go in the Championship. Let's have a look. What else we got? Yeah, a lot of it, to be fair, is who do we think's going to win this and who's going to win that. Somebody has commented and mentioned that Mario Balotelli's back in the game again.
Oh, two?
Snapped up by Genoa, supposedly.
Why always me?
Yeah, medical for tomorrow. So we'll see the Mad Italian back in the game again. Again, a fantastic character of the game. Like you say, his celebrations, the why always me. Fireworks in his bathroom, chucking 20 and 50 pound notes out of his car, driving around Manchester. Yeah, they're the sort of characters.
That back heel.
Yeah.
And the Mancini.
Yeah.
Pre-season.
You mentioned there Mancini. I think he's had the push this week.
Yes.
Saudi Arabia, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that people are talking absolute crazy when he decided to sever ties with him. I think he only won 1 game in their last 5, and people are looking about it. I don't know. I think I read somewhere random there could be anywhere between like 10 and 20 million to cancel his contract. I don't think he's gonna be bothered by that one, is he?
No.
It'll. I'm sure he'll find another job somewhere else. But yeah, the football world, as we keep saying week in week out, Dan, it's now turned into a business, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So
as we said at the start of the podcast, it's results.
yeah, it's a
If you're not getting
result-driven
result.
business. But ultimately, without money, sometimes
Yeah.
you see these teams struggle. Like you say, you look at Luton in the Prem last year. Not sure how much they've spent this summer. I know they lost a fair few key players like Barkley. I think he'd gone to Villa.
We bought McGuinness for 10 million.
10 million from Cardiff, yeah, which was a very strange one because he didn't play a lot for Cardiff. And Cardiff fans were kind of over the moon when the club received £10 million for somebody that wasn't even a regular starter on a week-to-week basis. I'm not saying he's not a bad player, but 10 million at that level, Cardiff are most certainly going to snap their hands off, aren't they?
Absolutely.
But another one from Alan this time. Again, in regards to the Premier League, who do we see as a surprise outfit of the season? Somebody to possibly win a League Cup, FA Cup? For me, Dan, I'm not sure there's going to be many surprises like that in the Premier League.
No.
Again, it's those top 4 or 5 sides, isn't it? Do you mean they dominate majority of Premier League these days? I'm not sure the last time one of the smaller clubs won a FA Cup, League Cup. Obviously, you go back to Wigan. They beat Man City 1-0. Portsmouth beat Cardiff in the FA Cup
Yeah.
a few years back, but
Birmingham beat Arsenal.
yeah,
Sorry,
in the-
Rich.
yeah. Obafemi Martins, wasn't it? Is it Obafemi Martins?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Straight away.
Yeah, but yeah,
Mistake.
it was a mistake. Yeah, somebody slipped. It wasn't Gerrard this time, but yeah, I'd like to see Newcastle. If I was to say a surprise package, I'd like to see him win something. Such a huge fan base, Dan. I think.
Yeah.
You know, people say Newcastle are a massive club. I'm not sure it's Newcastle itself that's a massive club. I think it's the fans that make them huge.
Make them, yeah. And they got money coming in as well.
Yeah,
but
it's been a strange one though,
strange.
Newcastle, because I think despite the money that the owners have got, I think they've come along a few years too late in regards to where all these new regulations are with the financial fair play, because when they bought the club or bought into the club, bought part of the club, whatever it may be, fans were super excited. They were linked with the likes of Neymar and people like that, and those Mbappe, yeah, those transfers have never materialised. I just think it's
And the expectations then?
because the fans' expectations have rose down, obviously, but the players they're signing there is great players there, Guimaraes, Isaac, but I don't think it's the players that the fans visualised when they were linked with the likes of Mbappe, Neymar. I think they were hoping to be the new Man City, but that's not come of thing. But as a surprise package to win something, I'm going to back Newcastle for a League Cup, FA Cup. I'm not quite sure on even if they're still in the League Cup at the moment, but I'm not quite sure where we're at with that one. But surprise package for an FA Cup, Newcastle for me. Dan?
I don't really know who's actually in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I don't think we've got to the main round yet, have we? So I don't think any of the Premier League teams have come in yet. Still in the qualifiers, aren't we?
Yeah. So the FA Cup.
Villa?
No, only because they're still in the Champions League, so their focus
Yeah, and they've started
will
great,
be
haven't they?
on Champions League. Yeah.
3 wins from 3, obviously, in the Champions League.
That's a good question, actually.
Taking out, obviously, the top 4 or 5, your big guns. Brighton, possibly. I know a lot of Spurs fans desperate for a trophy because they've gone a long time without it. Could they be the surprise package? Well, I think even though they've gone years without a trophy, I don't think if Spurs were to win something, they're classed as a surprise package. They are part of the Big 6 these days, or Big 8 these days because it's growing. But I fancy a Newcastle.
I'm going to go for like a Chelsea.
Yeah. Don't
Can you class them as a top 4 now? It's a difficult one.
I wouldn't say if I was a betting man week in, week out, I would back Chelsea like I would have under the years of Mourinho and things like that, you know. Like, if Chelsea were to go away tomorrow to, say, Bournemouth, I wouldn't always feel confident they would win at Bournemouth, but for me, they are still a Big 6 team. They've got players that score tons of goals, like we keep mentioning Palmer. He's never going to leave you short of a goal if he gets a chance. But
that's a good question.
It is, because ultimately, even if you went to the bookies today to look at the FA Cup winner, you're going to find it's going to be those top 4, 5, 6 teams. But yeah, so you fancy Chelsea?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Newcastle. I think Eddie Howe's done a great job there. Obviously, done a good job at Bournemouth. So we will see. But I don't think we got any more questions, to be fair, Dan. So that's probably going to bring us to the end of episode 3 of the Away Day Tours podcast.
But keep your questions coming in, even though the podcast is finishing.
Yeah, like I said, we'll be back next week. It'll be Wednesday, Thursday, sometime next week. We are going to try and get it a bit more in stone of a set date, set time to make it easier for our followers. But obviously, work dependent for the two of us and outside commitments in life, you know, so certain things do take over. But yeah, once again, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next week.